Well, hi, Carla. It's great to meet you and talk about your film. I saw this movie last year at Cannes, and I've been waiting
Mm-hmm.
for it to come out. So,
Yes.
congratulations
Thank
on it.
you. Thank you so much.
So it's obviously a personal film. It's also a portrait of a coming of age of a filmmaker. I mean, I think it's
Mhm.
your first film that's so directly about, you know, filmmaking itself. So I want to
Yes.
start with that. So what did that aspect of the story mean to you?
Yes, actually, she was not going to be a filmmaker from the beginning when I started writing the script. It was something that came up later when I realized that it made a lot of sense to actually make her want to be a filmmaker because I always had this question, like, am I a filmmaker because of my story or
Mm,
my family story? Or, or would if it was not because I'm a filmmaker, would I have investigated my family story in the same way that I've done? So I don't have an answer of that, but I think that the two things go together. So the trip of Marina, mm, is like it is because she already is starting to look at the world as a filmmaker, no?
yeah. Well, it's a film that's about looking at the world, but it's also about imagination and storytelling.
Yes.
I was wondering if the encounter between Marina and her mother, which is
Hmm.
so key to the film, did that come to
Hmm.
you early on and the film sort of grew out of that, or did that happen a different
Mm,
way?
no, it was not from the beginning either. Like at the beginning, I imagine, all this diary of Marina's mom, which is like my real mom's letters that she wrote to her friends and family that I turned into a diary for the film. I imagine this over like the landscape that Marina was shooting as it is in part of the film, no? But then at some point, when I realized what the film was about, and I realized that I really wanted to talk about memory and how memory works, and how it had been for me, no? Because I tried to put together the story of my parents because they died when I was a child. So I tried to do it through other people's narrative and stories. And I realized that probably because memory is very selective and very subjective, and also because my parents died of AIDS and and they used heroin, so all this kind of a stigma and taboo was kind of marking their memory somehow. Um, when I tried to put together a story through others, I couldn't. The pieces didn't kind of match, no.
Yeah.
So at some point, I allow myself to imagine the gaps, no? And I remember saying at the beginning, you cannot really create memories if you don't have them. But then at some point, I changed my mind and I realized that I have cinema to create the images that I'm lacking. So for me, it was a very film that gave me a lot of freedom, no, to kind of not take memory so seriously and understand that
Yeah.
that not only my family's memory is like that, it's for everyone, no, that we all need to fill the gaps with our imagination somehow.
So I
Hmm.
just want to go back to what you said about the letters from your mother. So of course in the film it's a diary, but
Hmm.
these were actual letters. So because I know there are
Yes.
elements of your real life in this, but these were
Hmm.
real letters from your mother.
Yes, they were real letters that I edited a little bit to kind of put together. But for me, it's probably the most important thing that I have from my mom because I only have like some photos, one Super 8 video, and then
Mm.
I have these letters that I collect from her friends and her family, and I was amazed when I discovered them because when you write, it's like a way you write letters the way you speak, no? And I could connect to her and understand how she was talking. Actually, the language she's using is even a little bit old fashioned now. It sounds old fashioned
Ah,
because it's like modern in the 80s, no? And then I felt that it was a kind of a generational portrait of a way of living in the 80s and the way that that she was having her friends and her relationship to drugs and to work and to family, and the way that she describes places, for example, that could speak a lot about her sensitivity and her poetry, you know. So for me, they have a lot of value.
The way that you talk about or look at the 1980s or show the 1980s reminds me of the 1960s in the United States, this period of
Hmm.
liberation. Of
Yes.
course, in Spain, liberation didn't really happen until after Franco died.
Later, yes,
But
exactly.
is that what this show is coming out of? This.
Yes, I think that it just happened later in Spain because of our long, long dictatorship. Franco died in 75. So, all these kids were born and raised during the dictatorship with a lot of repression, with really old and Catholic values, no? That suddenly, when transition arrived, it was a happy period, no? And they could live free, they loved their lives. It was more like being at the moment and experimenting with drugs, everything without knowing the consequences of anything, no? And heroin came into Spain very big because they have this theory that nobody did anything to stop the heroin coming into the country because while young people were into drugs, they were not into politics in this very delicate moment, no? And yeah, and then at the end AIDS arrived, no? So sometimes we talk about this generation with words that I feel that they don't belong to them because we use like punishment and and guilt and shame, when I think that it's basically that they were very unlucky, no, to
Yeah.
come across all this. Yeah.
Well, one thing I love about the movie is it shows both sides of how Marina feels about her mother. So we don't judge the characters for
Mm,
and
yeah.
they are liberated in a way. I mean, I think the scenes when they're swimming underwater and everything looks so
Mm,
vivid and colorful. Um,
mm,
I mean, there's a real celebration of liberation, which to me is tied
yeah.
into how Marina can even become a filmmaker. But
Yes, but for me this was very important, no, to kind of look at them um, being young people, which is sometimes difficult when you think when you think about your parents, no,
yeah,
but thinking them as young people who were not only defined by the relationship with drugs, no, because a lot of times like we think about this generation like that, and for me it's like we're the generation who came after, so we should have a new look at them, no? So I'm okay. I understand that their parents judge them, but I think that us shouldn't do it, no? And we should also give value to them because they were at the end the ones who kind of broke with everything, no? With all these old values I was talking about. So they suggested a new way of living that probably brought us where we are now, no? Hmm.
one of the things that's really amazing to me in the movie is the main performance. Your
Mm.
actress has to play both characters, and you had to have her
Mm.
in mind as somebody who could portray the mother as vividly
Mm.
and sort of differently than the
Yes.
yeah. So could you and she's it's hard to believe, but she's never acted in a film.
No, never. We found her in the street, in a street casting. Yes, she
Okay.
was actually coming back from a Boy Scouts meeting, and with her backpack, and then someone from the casting team invited her to come. She had never acted before, but I could see that she was the kind of teenager that I was looking forward to do this journey. No, so she was someone very curious, not not judging anything. Just wanting to kind of she had the curiosity I needed
Mm.
for the character, no? Because this is a character who does this trip out of curiosity more than anger or anything else, no? And then I remember I asked her, what are you afraid of? And
Mm.
she answered that she was afraid of looking silly, no? And I
Huh.
was like, oh, that's curious. So I realized that she was conscious that she had two faces somehow. That she
Yeah.
could play very innocent and little girl. No, she was turning 18 when we met, but she could also be very mature and intelligent. No, so this gave me a clue that she could do both. So we try a lot for her to be the mom, because for her it was very natural to be the Marina, no? So we did some tests for her to be a mom, and I realized that if we worked, there was something there that would work, no?
Yeah, I mean, she has that element of shyness about her,
Hmm.
and it almost makes it seem natural that she would like be behind a camera, maybe step back a little bit.
Yes, yes, yes,
So,
yes.
the casting, the acting in the film is great because even if it is a personal film for you, you had to create this family, and I
Hmm.
guess you have a mix of very
Hmm.
experienced actors and non-actors, but I don't know if you could just say a little bit about how you worked with
Yes,
to create the.
yes. It's a mix. Like Marina had never acted before. Mitch, the boy, is a musician,
Mm.
so also it was new to him. Also, the grandma never acted before, and Yago neither. So, but the rest are actors. So for me, the most difficult thing here was to kind of find a common like tone of acting,
Yeah.
so basically we spent a lot of time together. They didn't know each other, and we had to create a family, and family relationship always have long history, so basically we improvised moment that could have happened before the story that the film tells, and we improvised moments in the 80s and also in the 2000s. And in the 80s, Marina and Nuno were a couple, as the parents, and then the rest of the family. We also played with them just to make sure that everyone had someone in mind when they thought about this loss. No, so it was a way to create like a shared memory for all the family in a way that when we arrived in the shooting, um, everyone has a history in their relationships, and also they feel something for each other, so they have this intimacy that you can tell. That for me it's something that you cannot mm, tell why, but if you spend this time together and you go emotionally to all these background stories, then you get to the shooting and everything is in the right place, no?
It feels so authentic, and I mean, I
Hmm.
guess you came from a very ultimately from a very big family, right?
Yes, yes, I have big families, all of them, and I love the feeling, no, that
Yeah,
when there is a big family, many things happen at the same time, and
yeah,
this chaos, I find it very interesting.
yeah. I just have just a few questions. One, I have to ask you about your cinematographer. You work with Helene Louvard, who's one of my
Yes.
favorite cinematographers. I should
Hmm.
know this, but is this the first time you worked with her?
Yes, it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We tried to work together before, but it never worked for dates,
Yeah.
for timings. So yeah, we were really looking forward to work with each other.
Oh, it's great. I mean, could you say anything about what you talked to her about in terms of the style or look? Because
Yes, yes. I mean, we had a lot of conversations on how to shoot this family, because I was coming from two films, also portraying families, but with the idea that the camera had to be one more in the family. But this time, Marina is an outsider, so we were looking for this distance between her and the family, so it had to be a little bit colder,
mm,
and I was not so used to that, and I was worried about like how do you portray like a camera like that, and at the same time you let the actors be and work in the way that I work with them, no? So we found a way where the camera was a little bit more distant, um, and less basically less in the middle of the characters, let's say, no?
yeah.
But at the same time, like being respectful with my way of working with actors. And then obviously when we shot the past, we could there free ourselves, no, and go handheld and closer to this couple and trying to find another kind of poetry, no, and all these images that I had in my mind. We changed the colors, the textures, no. So we worked a lot for
Beautiful.
these two worlds, no.
I hope you work together again.
Yeah, I hope so.
My last question is just if you could explain the meaning of the title.
Oh yeah, yeah. Romería has two meanings in Spain. One is the one in the south that means pilgrimage. So it's a
Mm,
kind of journey that it has some kind of religious connotation, but I like to think about it as a more as a spiritual trip, no, that Marina is doing to her origins. And it's a word that I relate to my mom a lot because she loved going to these romerias in the south, which were like they were like religious pilgrimage, but had a lot of party as well, you know.
Yeah.
And then in the north of Spain, it has the meaning of a local festivity. So you say
Ah,
Romería is like when a village is in festivities and they are celebrating something.
oh,
So this
perfect.
idea
Yeah.
of celebrating something also was, I think, good for the film because I feel that it's celebrating my parents' generation somehow. No? Mhm.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, and good
Thank
luck with the
you.
opening of the film. But thanks for being with us for this screening.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Okay. Bye bye.